Welcome back, everyone. This will be my brand new Marvel Daredevil video. They just announced officially that they are making their brand new Daredevil TV series for Disney+. So I'll explain what's going on, what the timeline is, all the connections, and where we're going to see Daredevil show up next, because he will show up before the new Daredevil episodes, as well as Kingpin. He's coming back before that, as well as some of the other characters too, probably.
How did you just do that? I'm a really good lawyer.
If you're brand new to the channel, of course I'll be doing videos for the new Daredevil series when it premieres. It's going to be a little while, but we do have Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes happening next week. I'll be doing full episodes for that. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and I will do a Disney Plus giveaway in all those episode videos. But we just saw Daredevil come back during Spider-Man No Way Home. A really good lawyer is now back officially in the MCU, if you didn't think he was in the MCU before. I think we all thought that they would bring him back eventually. Charlie Cox had been talking about it for years and years and years since they had canceled the Netflix Marvel series. One of the reasons why it took so long to hear about this is Marvel just gained control of all the episodes, all the characters from Netflix, so that's why they brought them all to Disney+. So that should have been the key, that they're bringing a lot of these characters back. The whole idea with Daredevil in the MCU now, as of Spider-Man No Way Home, as well as Kingpin because of what happened during the Hawkeye series, is they're treating the events of the Daredevil series as if they're loosely canon to the MCU. So what that means is when they do these new Daredevil episodes, it's not going to be like a complete reboot of everything. Pretty much all the same main characters will come back. There'll probably be like a few minor characters that they might recast, but all the big characters that you would expect them to bring back. And they'll just play it as if Daredevil has been a lawyer operating inside the MCU, inside this version of New York City, all these years, and the events of the Daredevil series already happened. So the plot of these new Daredevil episodes, when it premieres, will be set forward in the timeline in whatever the present day is when that series picks up. We learned a little bit more about what's actually happening in the timeline of Daredevil from the Kingpin scenes during the Hawkeye series, because Vincent D'Onofrio talked a lot about what he was doing with the character when he came back and how close he was to the original version. The way he talked about it is that he played it as if it was the original version, but they're kind of reskinning the character just to make him look a little bit different, and they're not treating every single thing as if it's 100% canon. The events of the Daredevil Netflix series are like 98% canon. This is Kevin Feige and Vincent D'Onofrio talking about that.
Talk about organized crime in the Marvel Universe, and you talk about the seedy underbelly of New York City, there is one primary character that comes to mind.
He said, I want to bring you into the MCU, and I'm not going to say no to that. Like, that's pretty awesome. I really love playing this character. I liked creating him, you know, from the art of guys like David Mack. Fisk is really driven by emotion. You know, he's like a child and a monster, both at the same time. So it got very intense yesterday, and it got a little bit intense today, too.
So what they're talking about is that they don't want to mess with what they've already set up with the character. Like, they're not going to completely change everything. But, like, they actually just sold off all the props, including the Daredevil costume from the original series. So, like, they don't even have the original costume anymore. There's been a lot of talk about them giving him a brand new Daredevil costume that looks a little bit more comic book accurate when he debuts in the actual costume in a new episode on a Disney Plus series. I just did a video for the She-Hulk trailer. That's supposed to be the next place where we'll see Matt Murdock's Daredevil character. I don't know about the other characters. There's been talk of Jessica Jones showing up from the Netflix series and Kristen Ritter coming back. But a lot of the scenes in the She-Hulk trailer take place in Los Angeles, like this is the Los Angeles cityscape, and Matt Murdock is mostly local to Hell's Kitchen. Like, that's why a lot of the Hawkeye series took place in Hell's Kitchen, because you saw Kingpin's character, even though he's active around all of New York City and he lives around Midtown, a lot of the series took place in Midtown too. Most of the really shady stuff that he does is localized to around Hell's Kitchen. Like, that's the reason why you saw so much Hell's Kitchen during Hawkeye. That's also why they timed the release of them bringing Kingpin back to the release of them bringing Daredevil back in the MCU. Like, big surprise, both of these Daredevil characters coming back around the exact same day almost. I've done a couple videos about them bringing him back because I think we all believe that they were bringing him back, and a lot of websites have been reporting this supposed Daredevil timeline in the MCU leading up to his brand new solo series. So it all started with Spider-Man No Way Home. A really good lawyer, Matt Murdock, shows up in the MCU. He's been here this whole time, like as if the series took place in the MCU, so they would have also gone through a version of the snap in the blip. Then they bring Kingpin back on the Hawkeye series, so okay, that means that most of these characters exist in the MCU in some form. The building in Hawkeye Episode 1 is the building that Kingpin bought in the Daredevil finale during Season 3. Then they set up the relationship between Kingpin and Echo, which is a big comic book relation. She winds up blinding him with that gun, and then he sort of goes to ground, but eventually comes back with a very temporary blindness, big Daredevil Easter egg being blind. But those characters are supposed to come back in a bigger way during the Echo series. Just yesterday, because of all the TV upfronts, Marvel announced all the plans they have for the upcoming TV series. Like, that's why we got the She-Hulk trailer. During that, they also released the very first preview of a scene from the Echo series featuring her character. So obviously it's going to deal mostly with her backstory and what's going to be happening with her in the MCU. But Daredevil, Kingpin, and a couple of the other core Daredevil characters are supposed to be part of that series in a much bigger way than they were during the Hawkeye series or during Spider-Man No Way Home. But because they're just ramping up on that series and they're getting ready to debut She-Hulk episodes, technically She-Hulk is supposed to be the next place where we'll see Charlie Cox's Daredevil character. And during that, supposedly, we're going to see him in a brand new MCU Daredevil costume of some sort. They're both lawyers for people with superpowers, both superheroes and supervillains. Like you see a version of the Cube, which is like another big Marvel prison where they're keeping Abomination during the trailer, even though a lot of it does seem like it takes place during Los Angeles. Jennifer Walters is going to be running this superhuman defense team for her law firm. It would make sense that she would run into Matt Murdock as a lawyer through the court system, but they could also run into each other as vigilantes at night. I don't know if Kingpin or the other Daredevil characters are going to be featured during that. Like I said, there could be a Jessica Jones type of cameo scene during that as well. There's been rumors. So we get those episodes, then we get the Echo episodes with Daredevil. Then after the Echo episodes debut, that's when the Daredevil solo series is supposed to debut. So right now, because they just announced they hired the writer, they have to actually write the episodes, and then they'll cast it, then they'll start shooting it. The earliest we'd be able to see episodes would be like the very end of next year or like early 2024. So it's going to be a little while. But like I said, we will see more Daredevil in the MCU and these other Disney Plus series before that. And even though he was trying to be very misleading and not give away spoilers about being back in Spider-Man No Way Home, he said a lot of things that have supported this. Like, yes, I would always love to come back. I would love to bring those other Daredevil characters back. And now it's all coming true.
And, it'd be really fun. The one thing that being in the MCU allows that we couldn't really do with the Netflix stuff is that I can now interact with other MCU characters. So that would be really cool. Crossovers would be is the thing I would like to do next. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know what they're planning and all that kind of stuff. But there are some really interesting stories there that I'd love for the character to explore.
After all those Spider-Man No Way Home scenes, now people just want to see Daredevil, Spider-Man, Daredevil interacting with other characters. One of the big things that he said that he's really excited for is that now Daredevil can actually have those big comic book interactions that you saw with these other huge Marvel characters that they could not do when he was on Netflix. Even though his scenes during Spider-Man No Way Home were amazing, they were very brief, they did shoot a lot more footage that hit the cutting room floor. There were a lot of deleted scenes with Matt Murdock and Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan character joking about him previously being a version of Foggy Nelson in that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. There are a lot of people wondering if they'd ever do a Ben Affleck Daredevil cameo. Depends on whether or not he would want to come back to do that. It would have been funny to see him walk by during Doctor Strange 2. But if most of you don't remember, Jon Favreau, even though he's mostly known for directing things, especially the Mandalorian series and all the Star Wars stuff now, he's also been an actor for a long time. He played a version of Foggy Nelson during that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. There were a ton of Kingpin deleted scenes on the Hawkeye series. That's kind of been true of all the Marvel Disney Plus series. Like there was going to be a Black Knight cameo scene during the Moon Knight series. So like everything cool that you've wanted them to do with any of these Disney Plus series, they probably thought about doing it or did it and then wound up deleting it at the end of the day. I've done a bunch of separate videos about all those deleted scenes, so I'll link them in the description below if you want to see some of them. There's enough Kingpin MCU deleted scenes to almost do an entire separate series for Hawkeye. For those of you asking if they're bringing back the other Marvel Netflix Defenders characters, like you obviously have Iron Fist, you have Jessica Jones, you have Luke Cage, you have the Punisher character. Right now, the way that Kevin Feige has talked about it is sort of like a wait-and-see kind of thing. Like, whoever's most appropriate for any given series, he'll reach out to them. Like, he's always game to bring people back. Even though I'm not really hot on the idea of them bringing back the Netflix version of Iron Fist, I'm hoping they kind of recast that or reimagine it somehow in the MCU. A really notable Iron Fist story that happened when they were releasing the Shang-Chi movie is that Jessica Henwick, who originally played a version of Colleen Wing during that series, said that she was supposed to come back as a different character in the Shang-Chi movie. I think she was supposed to play Shang-Chi's sister. And one of the reasons why she chose not to come back in the Shang-Chi movie, why she declined it, because the money was about the same for both of the different movies, is that if she starred in the Shang-Chi movie, it would sort of preclude her coming back as a version of Colleen Wing, and she didn't want to close the door on her version of Colleen Wing coming back. So yes, Punisher could come back eventually if they figure out where would be the best place to put him. But right now, the only Marvel Netflix Defender character who has said that they have not been contacted by Marvel and just seem way too busy to actually come back would be Mike Coulter's Luke Cage character. But it's not because he doesn't want to come back. So that's why Kevin Feige doesn't completely recast all those characters right away, because some of them could potentially come back in the future, so he's just kind of leaving that door open. But if you have any questions about what's going on with these brand new Daredevil episodes, just post them in the comments below. I'll do more Daredevil Easter eggs as they show up during the She-Hulk episodes. Some of you also been asking me about doing merch for my channel or how to support the channel. Now YouTube is actually letting you support me by leaving tips on my videos using that special heart underneath each of the actual videos. It's right here. They're supposed to give you guys some special power-ups whenever you do that for each of my videos. So when you try that out, let me know if it's working for you. So if you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it right now. Thank you to all of you for all of your support. Everyone click here for my full She-Hulk trailer video and Easter eggs, and click here for my brand new Deadpool 3 teaser breakdown and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe and maximum effort.